Good morning, guys, and happy Friday. So I kind of wanted to do London's hospital stay vlog as kind of like a storytelling vlog, only because, hold on a second. I wanted to do London's hospital stay as kind of like a story time vlog, only because in the moments that everything was going on, my last thought in my mind was, oh my gosh, I should be vlogging this. So we kind of vlogged on my phone. Actually, I didn't have my camera because we ran out of the door. We kind of vlogged, you know, like after the fact. So I'll start with Wednesday morning. London was supposed to be going to my mom's for the day. She goes there on Wednesdays, as you guys know, and around 9 in the morning she was eating breakfast and had a Cliff Bar, and it wasn't like a Cliff Bar like the granola bar kind. It was like the compacted, very thick, like the wide Cliff Bars. She had a chocolate brownie Cliff Bar. So she was eating that, and I cut it into pieces, and lately she's been eating, if she has like a snack or something dry, I let her sit at her little table in her playroom and watch a show and eat her breakfast or snack or whatever she's eating at the time. So I let her sit at the table, and I was unloading the dishwasher and getting things put away, and I hear her start like scream crying for me. So I run down the hall to her playroom, and when I get in there, she's just looking scared, like she's choking on something, but like she's not like gasping for air, she's just kind of like coughing. And then all of a sudden she starts, like, she just can't breathe, like she's choking. So I'm telling her to spit out whatever's in her mouth, you know, like I'm calm and like, spit out what's in your mouth. And then all of a sudden she just starts like vomiting everywhere. Like that, it was kind of a blur, like how everything went down. But she, like, literally it was like going over my shoulder, because I was like at eye level with her. It was going like over my shoulder, on the front of my clothes, all the way down my legs, all the way down her. There was like a puddle in the playroom. It was horrible. I felt so bad for her. Like, I cannot believe how much she threw up. So because she threw up that much, I was wondering if she had even choked at all, like if she just was sick and like she ate the Cliff Bar and it made her stomach upset. But another part of me was thinking that she choked because she choked like a chunk of like Cliff Bar was like in my hand. And then in the brownie Cliff Bar, there's like nuts. There's like, they're not full nuts, but they're like small nuts, and they're ground up with like the flax seed, and just, there's so many seeds and everything in a Cliff Bar. And those were obviously, those were all in her vomit. When I was cleaning her vomit, I saw, I mean, it was just all Cliff Bar and chocolate milk. It was really gross. And I'm sorry if this is a TMI, but I'm just trying to, I have to tell you guys this part only because it'll explain why later what was going on. So just bear with. So we got her cleaned up. Mike came up and got her cleaned up, like put her in the tub and all that stuff. I got myself in the playroom and all of her toys and everything that she had thrown up on cleaned up, put in the dishwasher, the laundry down the stairs, a load started, all of that stuff. And by the time I got up doing that, she was, you know, done with her bath, and she was out here laying on the couch, and she was acting very fatigued. And I figured she was acting fatigued because her belly hurt and she had just, you know, thrown up. She was just really exhausted from vomiting that much. She weighs 34 pounds, so that's got to be really hard to throw up that hard. And then she just kind of started turning like a grayish, I wouldn't say blue, but she was just kind of gray looking. Blue sounds like she was suffocating. And she was just kind of laying on her arm on the couch and just like breathing very like still and not really having very much energy. And then so I like picked her up and was listening to her breathing, and she had like a wheeze. She was like wheezing and she sounded very raspy. So I asked her to cough because I thought maybe it was just phlegm stuck in her throat from vomiting. And she coughed a couple times and it didn't make the wheezing go away. So I put my head up to like her back, and I could hear it like deep down in her back. So my first thought was that she aspirated vomit. So I called the doctor and they said, I told them the whole situation, and she was like, you need to take her to the emergency room. I thought the emergency room thing was kind of like an exaggeration of what we should be doing. Like, I thought it was not an exaggeration, I just thought it was a little extreme. I was like, could we give this like an hour or so, like, and see if the wheezing goes away? You know, maybe it's just phlegm from vomiting. And she was like, no, you need to take her. Like, don't pass go. Don't collect $200. Go. Like, just head right there. So I call my mom and let her know that I'm not bringing London, because this is about 11:30 at this time. And I said, I'm not bringing London because I'm going to take her to the emergency room because that's what the doctor suggested. So my mom was like, I'm going to go to the emergency room with you. So we go to the emergency room. And we're in the emergency room for about 7 minutes, not very long. London's acting completely fine. That's the part that's like, that was the part that was so frustrating about this whole thing, was when you take your child to the ER, it's like, there's a broken bone or there's something really wrong with them. And my kid's like saying hi to everybody on the way in. She's saying hi to everyone in the waiting room. There's like people covered in blankets, like shivering, and London's like, hi to them. And I'm like, they're probably like, what the heck is she doing here? Like, what is this little girl doing here? Anyway, they took us back to the pediatric ER. I did not know the hospitals had such a place. But I loved it because I knew that these were pediatric doctors that were going to be working on her. So we went back to the pediatric ER, and within seconds of being in the room, I would say like 4 or 5 different people came in asking me the same exact questions. And we had, 4 or 5 people listening to her chest, and they decided that they were going to, the first action was going to be that they were going to do an aerosol treatment. They said if there's an actual blockage in there from food, the aerosol treatment would not make the wheezing go away. It would actually, like, it would just stay the same, and she would be, still wheezing and still having a hard time breathing. And they said that this was a safe route to take because her chest wasn't concaving, she wasn't losing like color, or she wasn't, blue in the face or anything. So they said that they were going to do that, and they would go from there, but they were going to order x-rays just in case they needed to be done so that we could get moving on the day and the prognosis and all of that stuff. So she gets the breathing treatment, and she was actually really, really good through it. She sat there and the lady gave her stickers and she played with it and all of that stuff. And at this point she has vomited, she hasn't had lunch, and she has had no nap. So we're getting to like the tail end of the time period where she hits a wall before it's like, oh, you have to take a nap. So it was about like 2:30, I think, when we got x-rays done. And by the time we went in for x-rays, she was an absolute disaster. The aerosol treatment did help. Like, it helped her, like, lungs open up a little bit, and her wheezing was like less dramatic, but she was still wheezing. So they ordered the x-rays, so we went in and got the x-rays done, and she fought me through the whole x-rays. I felt like x-rays took 3 hours because they just had to keep redoing them because London didn't stand still, and it's not her fault. She's 2, she hasn't napped, she's in a strange place in a dark room with weird people. Like, she just had no idea what was going on. And I actually had to keep reminding the techs that she was 2. I was like, she's 2, sorry, she's 2, sorry, she's 2. Like, and it was just because she was just a mess, and she wanted to get out of there. She kept going, why, see Grammy, see Grammy, see Grammy. Anyway, I go back to the room. I've like sweated through my shirt at this point. And we are waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. We waited probably 2 hours before I went up to the front desk and asked them if there was any news on the x-rays and like what was setting us behind. London was an absolute disaster. Like, she was crying. They did like the blood pressure cuff on her like leg, and she cried through the whole thing. Like, she was sobbing. She acted like she was being tortured, and I felt bad for her just because she was exhausted. And at this point, she had gotten her blood pressure taken like 4 times. She's had her temperature taken 4 times. She's had all of the stuff done like multiple times. So I go up to the desk and I ask, you know, what is taking them so long with this? Like, I know you guys are busy, but is there any way that we could move it along a little bit? I have a very cranky toddler, and I know that that's not your fault, but if we just could move it along, would that be doable? And they said, we're waiting for the surgical team to look at the x-rays. When they said we're waiting for the surgical team to look at the x-rays, I got a very sick feeling in my stomach, and I knew things weren't going to be like, oh, you can go home today. I knew it was going to be, something was going to be going wrong. I knew when it was taking so long that there was something that they had to like check. So about 40 minutes later, a surgical tech came in, a lady from the surgical team and another lady from the surgical team came into our room. They were very cold and very like their smiles weren't warming. They weren't warming people. Anyway, they give me a rundown on why they do this certain procedure where they put them under anesthesia. They'll go down into their esophagus with the scope. They'll look around the lungs and they'll take out whatever's in there that's causing the wheezing or the blockage or whatever. And they said that, you know, by the look of the x-rays, you can't really tell if there's a particle in there, but there is inflammation, so obviously there's something in there that's like bothering her lungs. And so we need to go in there and look. At this point, I am devastated, only because I was not expecting any of this. I was expecting them to like basically listen to her lungs, give me breathing treatments for home to keep things moving around in there, and then we would be out of there. Like, I thought I was going to get a script for a breathing machine and come home. I thought maybe worst case scenario we'd get x-rays on her lungs. I didn't think anything else after that. I was completely unprepared for the surgery part of it. First of all, my daughter's 2. I've never been put under in my entire life. I've never had to have anesthesia. I've never had wisdom teeth pulled. I've never had my tonsils out. I've never had tubes in my ears. So I've never had anesthesia. So for me to think about my 34-pound baby girl going under anesthesia and them cutting off her breathing and putting her on a vent so that they could put a scope in her was like, I almost like couldn't take it. Like, I acted like I was getting really, really bad news. And for me, it was bad news. And that was like my initial reaction to the situation. And I wish that I could go back and change it. But at the same time, like, it's my child and I'm her mom. And she's my only child. And I felt like my reaction wasn't that horrible. And, I mean, the lady was like looking at me like, why are you crying? And I wasn't like uncontrollably sobbing. I was cry talking. Like, I was just like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, I did not expect this today. And she was like, nobody prepared you for what was going to happen? And I was like, no. Like, I feel very unprepared for this prognosis. So, and usually, like, I'm a worst case scenario person. Like, I think of the worst case scenario before anybody else does. And they'll be like, yeah, I didn't even think that would happen. You know, like, that's how I am, is I think worst case scenario. And in this situation, I was thinking we would get a slap on the wrist and we'd be going home, you know, and like we could do at-home stuff. Sorry, I need to drink some coffee. I have a scratchy throat. So anyway, I know that this is a long story, but I just have to get to where we were at on Wednesday evening. So, they are getting my child prepped for surgery. They're going to bring an IV team in. Like, literally, like, I had no time to even just, like, think. I had to call Mike, let him know that, like, London was having surgery in the next hour and that he needed to get over to the hospital. My mom wanted to call my dad, and oh, and of course, the entire time we're in the ER, we have absolutely no service. Like, I can't even, like, text anybody and be like, oh, this is what's going on, or even give Mike a heads up, like, the x-ray team's taking a really long time. Like, he has no idea what's going on. In fact, he had texted me and said, what's going on? And I didn't want to leave London with my mom because she was such a disaster to go out of the hospital, like, and chance getting lost and, like, go text somebody. So finally I see that there's a landline on the wall, and I got all my phone numbers out of my phone, and we started making phone calls. And by we, I mean my mom. I called Mike, but I couldn't even talk because I went to go talk about it, and I just was so upset that my mom had to give him the rundown. So Mike takes off work and is heading that way. I tell my mom, I want my mother-in-law to be here, especially if London's going into surgery. I want her, see, and I'm getting all upset even thinking about it. I want her to have the option to be here, and I want her here. She didn't even have surgery, and I'm this upset about it. Just because I'm thinking about the day. And I go up to the front desk to ask them if I could give her a snack, because she had not been fed all day. She threw up her breakfast. So she was hungry and sleepy and tired. Well, sleepy and tired. And all of this stuff. And they said, so when I went up there to go ask for that, I saw the surgical team girl and the other one doctor that was going in and out of the room talking about my reaction. Like, they're like, the one girl was like, and then you bring her in for wheezing, and then you're surprised that we, like, that's what they were talking about. And then she saw me and stopped talking, so I knew that she was discussing our particular situation. I kind of just brushed it off and was like, well, that's whatever. But then it was really bothering me because that was going to be the girl that was, like, operating on my child. And it really hurt my feelings that they would discuss that in an open area with me 2 rooms down. Anyway, they said London couldn't eat because they wanted to prep her for surgery and she wasn't allowed to eat. So then another hour passes while we're waiting for all of the surgery stuff to come in, and they obviously discussed it and came back in and had a better plan. They said, you know, because London's color is great, because she's clearly active, she doesn't seem to be struggling to breathe, she's just wheezing, we're going to keep her overnight and for observation and just let her, you know, just watch her to make sure that her breathing isn't getting worse, and we'll run everything by the surgical team in the morning and we'll give you a verdict tomorrow. But we do want to keep her overnight and watch her. So that is what we were staying overnight for, was for them to watch London's wheezing. They wanted to go in and get out what they thought was a particle that could have been in London's lungs from the granola. They said if she aspirated any of the granola, like, she could get an infection so bad that it could actually kill her. So for them to be cautious was great, but at the same time, I didn't want to just have a willy-nilly surgery on my child because they thought that there could be granola in there. Like, and I know that that is how the medical field works. Like, you have to move fast and you have to do things accordingly, and you have to do things according to, like, the book, because that is how it's ran. But for a mom to be sitting in there, and I know they're not sensitive to moms. Like, this is their job. They do this every day, but at the same time, they don't do it every day on my child.
Why?
All right, I wonder if you could take, we're going to go that way, but.
What does the turkey say?
Gobble, gobble.
Yeah.
Gobble, gobble.
What does
This.
the ducky say?
Gobble, gobble.
No, what does the ducky say?
Woo!
Say quack.
No. Moo. Ducky.
Are you a movie
Ducky.
star?
Ducky
Are you a
says
movie star?
Movie star.
movie stuff.
What does a horse say?
No.
You
She doesn't know what a moose says.
silly.
Does a moose have antlers?
You're being silly. She said, what is a horse?
Chicken.
She sees the chicken in the video.
Hi, Bubba. Stay right here. I'll let you go by.
Hey, Papa.
Didn't know Bubba was here.
Where are we going?
Tears.
We're going see Miss Jamie.
Yes.
Does she have toys for you?
Yes.
Wonder what kind of toys.
Pizza.
Pizza. Oh, pizza for everybody. That's what I say.
That's the best kind of toy.
Let's have a pizza party.
Yay.
Yay. We gonna invite your Care Bears?
Yes. Tender heart.
Who else?
Anyway, Mike had to finish up work that night. He actually ended up going home at like 6 and ended up having to work until like 2 in the morning. And grandparents came and left.
Take off.
No, you gotta leave it on.
It's a bracelet. It's not
It tells
sticker.
me who you are.
Who are you? What's your name?
London.
And what's your last name?
London.
It's London. London Nickel.
London Nickel?
No.
No? Okay. Is it London Grammy? That should be good. Is it London Jaja? He's so tight.
Thank you. Oh, she gave me a kitty.
Oh.
Kitty on a sled.
Earlier she was patting faces saying no more tears. No more tears.
Will not be.
You'll never believe what we get to look at out of our room in Toledo Hospital.
Why do you keep pulling Grandma's hair?
My grandma came and actually stayed the night with me. We took turns sitting by London's bed just to listen to her breathing. She wasn't hooked up to any machines or anything, so I wanted to be completely aware if her breathing got worse at all so that I could call the nurse or whatever. We had amazing nurses. The room that we were in the pediatric ward was just amazing.
You gotta keep it on
Stay
there.
still.
Lay still. Be still. Dog.
Watch Caillou.
Like, the staff up there is just great. And I was just very pleased with our whole stay there. The ER thing was very hard. Our room was hot. It was small, you know, and it was at the peak of when London was just doing horribly. London slept in her crib, you know, really well that night and did really great. And in the morning, we were back to the waiting game where they, you know, 4 or 5 people came in and checked her lungs on and off every hour when they did the vitals. And finally I went up to the desk and just said, you know, is there a way that we could page the surgical team? I know that, like, the head of surgery is a busy guy, like, obviously, but is there any way that, like, if he's in the area, if he could stop in our room and just give us a heads up so we know if we're having surgery? Like, we still aren't even in the clear that if London's having surgery or not. So
You can run and get us something.
I just feel bad.
Don't. That's what I'm here for. To be the gopher.
You're here to be the dad.
Something like that.
What you eating, baby?
Bagel.
Yeah?
Bacon yummy. You like bacon?
Oh, don't do that. You're gonna knock your stuff over.
Far. Oh man. Far. Far.
Oh, man.
Far.
You sure do have a lot of stuff here. Between you and mommy.
You, Mom.
Yeah.
So anyway, he came in and he said we're just gonna send her home.
No surgery. No surgery. No surgery.
Yeah.
No surgery.
Home with this paper of don'ts and do's, and if this is, you know, if this happens, call us. If this happens, call 911 and all of that stuff. So that is where we are at right now. She slept really great last night. My anxiety was literally through the roof last night. I had to call my mom and be talked down. I was worried that she was still wheezing. Like, it was just something that was like not getting out of my head, and I was thinking, you know, like, the head of surgery didn't even listen to her lungs. Like, he just went by what everybody else said. And then the one nurse listened to her lungs through her sweatshirt, and I was just like, you can't really hear anything through a sweatshirt. Like, so then I was like rethinking their decision, you know, and was just pure exhaustion because I had not slept. Plus I was just emotionally drained from the whole thought process of London having surgery and everything. So she goes to the doctor today at 3:15 to see if there's anything that we can do for the wheezing or what we should be watching for wheezing wise. I know that, like, if fluid settles in your lungs, you know, you could have pneumonia and all that stuff. So I just want to be as cautious as I can, and if there's any, you know, preventative that I can do, that kind of thing. So with all of that said, she is going to the doctor today at 3:15, and I guess we'll just go from there. I don't think we're out of the woods yet with the whole surgery situation or the infection situation. So kind of walking on eggshells right now, but anyway, that is where we are at right now. Okay, so I wanted to give you guys an update on the whole London situation. We went to the doctor today, and she, you know, noticed that London still has the wheeze, and she didn't like the idea that London still has the wheeze. So she put her on an oral steroid for the weekend in hopes that that will clear it up, and if it doesn't clear it up, London will have to get the bronch procedure done next week. So I guess, like, the thing that bothers me the most about all of it is I just kind of wish that, like, I mean, if she has to get it done, that they just would have kept her and done it instead of us having to, like, prolong this. And another thing that really bothered me, I don't know if I said it earlier, but, like, the head of pulmonary, like, didn't even listen to her. Like, he just went by what everybody else said. I think I did tell you guys that already. And so that, like, really bothered me because I was thinking, like, if he's the head of pulmonary, like, he needs to be, like, even if he, like, everybody else said that she sounded good, like, he needed to decide if she sounded good. So anyway, our doctor is great. She's, you know, she's just really sweet, and she's almost like a friend because, you know, I feel like as a mom, she, like, totally understands what I'm going through and all that stuff, and so she's very sensitive to what I was, you know, saying and how I was feeling about everything. And I just knew last night when we got home from the hospital that, like, we weren't out of the woods yet. Like, I knew that there was something lingering in my thoughts. And I mean, and that's why I had such a hard time putting her to bed last night and all of that stuff. So anyway, we're just gonna keep her comfortable over the weekend and give her oral steroid and hope that it clears up the wheezing. And that's the other thing, is, like, she looks perfectly healthy. So for her to, like, be looking healthy and acting healthy is just, it's just so, all of it is just so strange. Like, the whole thing is just so strange. So anyway, I just wanted to update you guys on that, and that will finish this particular vlog. I wasn't going to add this part in, but I wanted to, just because I thought it was a crucial update, and basically we'll just have to get through the weekend and see how all of that goes, and then we'll go from there. So I'm running to the grocery store to get her prescription filled and do a little bit of grocery shopping while she spends time with her daddy tonight. So again, thank you guys for all of your prayers and all of your happy thoughts and good thoughts, and I'll keep you guys updated. Thanks.